like, share, subscribe. Shouts out to the Lions Den community. And don't y'all forget to subscribe to the podcast show. Link will be pinned in the top of the chat.
Just name the channel who could bang with us. I'll prove that you are smoking dust. GTV Media is top notch in this game, y'all. You failures only have yourself to blame, y'all. Cricket TV and a weapons make you suckers cry. Why don't you close your channel, crawl into a hole and die? Shout out to those who love our movement, no, we'll never flop until you get your mouth off LGBT. We are the underground outfit, y'all. We built this whole thing by ourselves, no in y'all. Independence start with self-preservation. If you can't take care of self, then how can you build a nation, y'all? Yup, we got that merch for the ladies, and yes, we even got that merch for the babies, and we got appliances and everything that you will need. We got some banging songs that make anemic haters bleed.
All right, y'all. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear me in the comment section. Got a mic check. Press 1 if y'all can hear me. Got a mic check. Press 1 if y'all can hear me in the comments, man. We're going to get into this video, you guys. Let y'all know what's going on. All right, salute everybody. Y'all smash the like button as y'all come on in. Shout out to Quantez Recordings. I think that's how you pronounce it. For the $50 donation in the PayPal. Salute to y'all, everybody that be showing love in the Cash App, PayPal, keeping the channel going, man. I appreciate all of y'all. All of y'all that share the videos, like the videos, subscribe to the channel. Y'all know what it is. It's going down, you guys. I've told y'all what's going on with this entire NBA situation, and it is absolutely real. It is blowing up crazy as the Los Angeles Clippers owner, Steve Ballmer, now has serious heat as first, you had a reporter by the name of Pablo Torre who came out with major reports and receipts accusing the Los Angeles Clippers NBA basketball owner Steve Ballmer of cheating the game by using a scam of a company to basically illegally wire money and launder money through this company and allegedly pay his superstar Kawhi Leonard under the table and cheat the NBA salary cap. Well, that went. Steve Ballmer came out and said that they conned me. I was conned. They lied to me. But then Pablo Torre came out with more receipts showing that the man who had been running this fake corporation that was supposed to be a sponsorship had pled guilty not only to the feds, but also had a different company after the fact that Steve Ballmer still did business with this guy. Well, the NBA came out, and the NBA is currently doing an investigation into Steve Ballmer. And now, ladies and gentlemen, according to the LA Times today, there is a major lawsuit that has been filed against the owner of the NBA franchise, the Los Angeles Clippers. And there are employees from this company who have came out with paperwork, who have said that the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers committed fraud, right, over his situation with his star player, Kawhi Leonard. And I'm going to let y'all know what they said because I got the lawsuit right here. Now, in this lawsuit, this company, whose name has been changed now to Katona from Aspiration, after this entire situation went down, this lawsuit says by 2021, Katona was running out of money and needed a deep-pocketed benefactor, and along came Steve Ballmer. That's the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers. Mr. Sandberg, Joseph Sandberg, the man who was running this company, made a crooked deal with the Clippers owner Steve Ballmer, the billionaire owner of the NBA's Los Angeles Clippers, to provide financial support and promote Katona to investors such as plaintiffs. The arrangement was that Steve Ballmer, the Clippers owner, would be an investor in Katona, and in return, Steve Ballmer, the Clippers owner, would use Katona to secretly funnel millions of dollars to star NBA player Kawhi Leonard. Now, these funds would be channeled through Katona to Kawhi Leonard so that Steve Ballmer could induce Kawhi Leonard to re-sign with the Clippers by covertly paying him more than allowed by the NBA salary cap rules. This is absolutely crazy because now when this thing goes to discovery, this thing can end up having the Los Angeles Clippers owner and NBA superstar Kawhi Leonard in a federal indictment if the proof is put out there in court papers, and the feds may have already picked this up in an investigation and we just don't know because they asked allegedly Joseph Sandberg about the Los Angeles Clippers owner Steve Ballmer. And this situation, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely devastating for the National Basketball Association. And the reason why it's so devastating is because Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, came in the league with major allegations against him before he came in the league from doing this type of sham stuff with high schoolers. Then he came in the league and was found guilty of this same type of cheating with NBA player at that time, DeAndre Jordan, where he was fined $250,000, which meant nothing to him because he's a multi-billionaire. But now it's all out here, ladies and gentlemen, and this situation is going to get bad because they're bringing receipts to court and they want to go to discovery. And if this makes it to the evidence phase, the NBA, man, may never be the same, man. As NBA star Kawhi Leonard, for you guys who don't know, his uncle has been accused by a lot of people of being a shady individual. His uncle, whose name is Uncle Dennis, right? And basically the NBA star Kawhi Leonard, who plays for the Los Angeles Clippers, right? Let me tell y'all what's going on with him, right? Now, Kawhi Leonard, he had a devastating situation. Now, he is the star player for the Los Angeles Clippers organization, for you guys who don't know. Kawhi Leonard grew up and his father was murdered in front of him, right? His father was murdered in front of him, right? Now, this isn't the only thing, right? Kawhi Leonard has a sister, right? His sister, her name is Kamisha Williams. Kawhi Leonard's sister, the star for the Los Angeles Clippers, who had been at the center of a high-profile criminal case since 2019, she was accused and ultimately convicted of murder in connection with a brutal robbery at the Southern California casino. Now, that case drew significant media attention due to Kawhi Leonard's prominence in the NBA, though Kawhi Leonard himself remained publicly silent on that matter, consistent with his private persona. Now, basically, Mrs. Williams is one of Kawhi's 4 older sisters, the youngest of 5 siblings born to Mark Leonard, the father who was murdered in 2008 at his Compton car wash. Now, and Kim Robinson, his mother. Now, Kawhi Leonard grew up in Riverside, California, and he attended high school there before starting at San Diego State University. Now, reports from that time of her arrest indicate that Mrs. Williams, Kawhi's sister, was estranged from the family, but reportedly due to long-term struggles with drug addiction, had lost contact with Kawhi Leonard years prior. Now, this estrangement was confirmed by family members, including an aunt who identified Mrs. Williams in reports, right? Now, Afa Fifi Assad, who's an 84-year-old woman from Los Angeles, was a regular at the Pachanga Resort Casino in Temecula, California. Now, Kawhi's sister, who was then 35 years old, and her accomplice, Candace Townsend, who was 37 years old, they were arrested back on September the 6th of 2019 following the August 31st, 2019 incident. Now, prosecutors at the time alleged that the two women, Kawhi's sister and the other woman, targeted this 84-year-old woman in a premeditated robbery that escalated to murder. Now, the two reportedly followed this woman from the casino floor into a woman's bathroom around 11 p.m. They attacked her from behind, striking her multiple times in the head with a blunt object believed to be a toilet tank lid, fracturing her skull and causing severe blunt force trauma. Now, the duo stole her purse, which contained $800 to $1,200 in cash, credit cards, and personal items. Surveillance footage captured them fleeing the scene, and Assad's blood was later matched to the bathroom via DNA evidence. Now, Assad was found unconscious by the casino staff shortly after the attack and was rushed to the hospital, where she died on September the 4th, 2019 from her injuries. Now, Kawhi's sister and the other woman, Mrs. Townsend, were charged with first-degree murder under California's felony murder rule, where death during commission of a felony like robbery qualifies as murder plus robbery and burglary. Now, prosecutors described the attack as vicious and opportunistic, targeting a vulnerable elderly victim. Now, the prosecution's case, the Riverside County Sheriff's investigators highlighted Kawhi's sister's risk of flight in bail hearings, noted that her well-off family, an implicit reference to Kawhi Leonard's $103 million Clippers contract he had just signed days earlier. Evidence included video from the casino, witness statements, and forensic links tying the pair to the crime. Now, in 2023, Kawhi's sister and Townsend pleaded guilty. To avoid a full trial, she admitted to the robbery and assault, with the murder charge upheld under the felony murder rule. Now, on April the 21st, 2023, the Riverside Superior Court Judge John Molly sentenced Kawhi's sister to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 15 years. Now, Townsend received the same sentence. The judge cited the heinous nature of the crime and lack of remorse. Kawhi's sister is serving her sentence in a Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla. Now, no appeals or reductions have been reported as of today. Now, Kawhi has never addressed this case, and he's always kind of stayed away from this stuff. But this dude, his entire life has been marred and surrounded with controversy and trouble. Now, Kawhi Leonard is being accused of taking money under the table in the National Basketball Association, as Kawhi Leonard had been traded originally from the San Antonio Spurs. So Kawhi was with the San Antonio Spurs franchise. Kawhi Leonard ended up with this illustrious franchise complaining about their medical staff and saying that their medical staff had misdiagnosed them, basically. And the medical staff for the San Antonio Spurs said Kawhi is fine. He can play. There's nothing wrong with him. But Kawhi said that his own personal doctor said he wasn't fine and that he couldn't play. Well, the team, they completely cleared him to play. Well, this problem got out of hand. So when this problem got out of hand, what happened is that this problem got out of hand and went to a different level. Kawhi Leonard demanded a trade. He wanted to be traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, according to the reports. But the San Antonio Spurs refused to trade him to the Lakers and the team he wanted after the big problem they had with him. Now, Kawhi Leonard, he ended up getting traded to a different country. They traded him to Canada, to the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Toronto Raptors gave up their star player at that time, DeMar DeRozan, in a deal for Kawhi Leonard. So Kawhi Leonard went to the Toronto Raptors, and that year, they ended up winning the World Championship for the National Basketball Association. Now, after that year, Kawhi Leonard was a free agent, which means he could sign with any team, but he could get the most money to re-sign with the Toronto Raptors since they were the team that had traded for him. Well, Kawhi Leonard had other plans. Kawhi Leonard wanted to return to California, his home. So Kawhi Leonard allegedly, and what he's being accused of with the owner of the LA Clippers, because there was a man who was supposed to be friends with his uncle. Now, Kawhi Leonard's uncle, Uncle Dennis Robertson, that's where he comes into play. Now, Uncle Dennis Robertson has been accused of being a shady individual, right? Now, Uncle Dennis is what they call him, has faced serious allegations and related to his role in negotiating Kawhi Leonard's contracts, particularly with the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, these claims center on potential violations of NBA rules, including salary cap circumvention through undisclosed no-show endorsement deals. Now, Kawhi Leonard, his uncle, is Dennis Robinson on his mother's side. Now, he has served as his informal advisor and negotiator since Kawhi Leonard's early NBA days. Now, Dennis Robinson is not a licensed agent, but he has been Kawhi Leonard's designated representative in high-stakes free agency talks. Now, the allegations, they stem from Kawhi Leonard's 2019 free agency I just told y'all about, when he signed a 4-year, $142 million deal with the Clippers. Now, here was the problem. The Toronto Raptors could offer Kawhi Leonard another year with much more money, millions and millions of more dollars that no other team could offer Kawhi Leonard. So financially, it would have been better for him to return and stay with the Toronto Raptors. But to go to the Los Angeles Clippers, Kawhi Leonard's uncle was accused of doing shady business. His uncle was accused, the team was accused, in a lawsuit that was filed against the late Jerry West, who was working with the Clippers in an informal role, and also the Los Angeles Clippers itself. Now, this lawsuit was filed by a former basketball teammate in high school and friend of Kawhi Leonard's uncle. Now, that friend, his name was Johnny Wilkes. He basically claimed that he helped facilitate Kawhi Leonard getting and leaving from Toronto and signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. He said he was promised money and other things as well for helping to get Kawhi Leonard to the Los Angeles Clippers, right? Now, Kawhi Leonard's uncle had also been accused by multiple NBA franchises of asking for illegal things. Now, the NBA allegedly did an investigation in 2019 and said that they didn't find enough evidence in that investigation. Well, now we're back because Pablo Torre came out with all kinds of evidence. And with the evidence that Pablo Torre, the reporter, came out with, the NBA were left with no choice but to launch a new investigation into Kawhi Leonard, this time with the Clippers, for cheating the game of basketball. Now, what happened? They're alleging that Kawhi Leonard had a fake endorsement deal where they used this fraudulent company named Aspiration, who basically they funneled money through this fraudulent corporation in order to pay Kawhi Leonard under the table. Why? Because Kawhi Leonard was accused of asking the Clippers to pay him all that extra money he would have gotten with Toronto Raptors on the books, but he asked the Clippers allegedly to pay that money to him under the table so that nobody could see it and they could avoid the NBA salary cap and breaking the NBA rules. Well, the employees at Aspiration, they came out and they have now filed a lawsuit for fraud against the Los Angeles Clippers owner, Steve Ballmer. And now they're accusing him of things that could have him criminally put in prison for the rest of his natural life, because they're accusing him of basically money laundering, and those charges face substantial time in federal court. Now, Joseph Sandberg, the guy who was running Aspiration, was changed his name to Katona since the recent problems. He has already pled guilty to the feds, and he will face his sentencing. He is facing up to 40 years in prison. And his sentencing date comes up in February of next year. On February the 23rd is his sentencing date to see how many years he gets in prison. Now, this entire situation with the NBA, with the Los Angeles Clippers owner, Steve Ballmer, and with the Los Angeles Clippers star player Kawhi Leonard, could blow up the NBA and potentially bring forth criminal investigations now, because this thing has went to civil court, because employees of Aspiration Company have now come out and blatantly accused NBA owner Steve Ballmer of cheating, not only cheating the National Basketball Association, but they have accused him of using this fraudulent company to launder wire fraud, and launder money through this company in order to pay Kawhi Leonard under the table without nobody knowing. Now, Kawhi Leonard apparently got an LLC, and this LLC, he used that to receive his payments under the table. Pablo Torre has shown all the paperwork, and now Steve Ballmer has a choice to make. If Steve Ballmer does not, let me repeat myself again, if Steve Ballmer does not pay these people, and this case goes to discovery and they reveal that evidence, the feds most surely, if they have not already picked up this case, will pick up this case. And that would mean very, very, very major problems for NBA owner Steve Ballmer and NBA star Kawhi Leonard. Now, so now, like I said, you guys, and I apologize. So as I said to y'all, my bad, y'all. As I said to y'all, right? This situation right here, and I'm telling y'all again, is out of control, man. Because now, if this thing goes criminal, the potential charges that Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard could face, right? Let's talk about that. So, Steve Ballmer, and this is just a bad situation, man. This is sad, bro. This is a sad situation, man. So, Steve Ballmer, the billionaire owner of the Clippers, right? The potential charges he could face from the feds would likely stem from the Department of Justice SEC fraud probe, focusing on whether Steve Ballmer knowingly aided the company Aspiration, deception, or benefited from it via NBA circumvention. Now, penalties could include fines in the millions of dollars, restitution, and prison time up to 20 to 40 years per count for fraud. Now, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about, because this is absolutely disgusting, man. And I'm going to tell y'all something, man. If he gets found guilty on this stuff, man, And I'm not going to screenshot all of these things, but I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about here on the screen, man. This thing is bad, bro. And like I said, this thing is in the LA Times now. The employees have come out now and filed a lawsuit against this man, and this thing can go federal real quick, because if he pays them off and settles it, that looks so bad on his resume. He just might as well go ahead and give up his team, because he's denying any wrongdoing, which means he should have no problem opening up his books. He should have no problem opening up his books and allowing the entire world to see his books. But as you guys can see right there, the potential federal charges would likely stem from a Department of Justice or SEC fraud probe focusing on whether Steve Ballmer knowingly aided Aspiration's deception or benefited from it via NBA circumvention. Now, penalties could include fines in the millions, restitution, and prison time up to 20 to 40 years per count for fraud. Right? So basically, I've tried to tell people this, and I don't know why people don't understand this, but they better understand this very, very quick. The potential charges could be wire fraud, bank security fraud, bank fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit fraud, right? Or the potential charges he could face if they find evidence in this case. Now, man, this is a sad situation, man. This is a sad situation. Now, Kawhi Leonard, let's talk about what potential charges he could face, right? Let's talk about him, because I think that's important too. So Kawhi Leonard, his situation is crazy too, right? The U.S. basically Department of Justice and the Securities Exchange Commission probes into Aspiration's collapse could extend to Kawhi Leonard if evidence shows he knowingly participated in or benefited from the fraud. Now, Kawhi has denied wrongdoing, stating that on September the 30th, 2025, in a Media Day interview, I don't think it's accurate, he said, that he did no work, and that noting that he received no financial payments due to the company's bankruptcy. However, leaked documents, texts from his uncle Dennis Robinson demanding secrecy and timing of investments, $2 million from the Clippers minority owner Dennis Wong days before Kawhi Leonard received, right, a $1.57 million payment, could support charges if prosecutors prove the intent, right? Now, post his 2021 four-year, $176 million Clippers extension, Kawhi Leonard signed with Aspiration, a Clippers sponsor. No public promotions from Kawhi were found. Despite the contract's terms, Aspiration received $118 million from Steve Ballmer, Dennis Wong, and the Clippers entities between 2021 and 2023, coinciding with Kawhi Leonard's payments. Now, evidence against him, former executives claim that the arrangement was explicitly to circumvent the salary cap, like it said right here in the lawsuit today. Sandberg's plea and whistleblower accounts could lead to the corporation implicating Kawhi Leonard. A November 3rd, 2025 civil suit against Steve Ballmer alleges the scheme secretly funneled millions to Kawhi Leonard, potentially providing Department of Justice leads. Now, right, Kawhi Leonard's camp arguing it was a legitimate endorsement and that he received partial payments only, and Aspirations fraud conned everyone included, as Steve Ballmer said, and the NBA commissioner emphasized due process and blah, 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 right? Now, the prosecutors would have to prove that Kawhi Leonard had guilty knowledge of the fraud or circumvention. Now, penalties for Kawhi Leonard could include prison time up to 20 to 30 years per count fines of $250,000 in restitution, right? And potential charges that could come against him could be wire fraud, aiding and abetting fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, money laundering, and security fraud, or potential charges that could come against Kawhi, right? This is a sad situation right here, bro. Man, bro. Man. So we'll have to see how this thing pans out. But this thing is all in the news today, man. And it's all over the place, man. The employees came out and said they got proof. Now, if Clippers owner Steve Ballmer, after saying that he was conned, if he comes out and pays these people off and settles his lawsuit, he's done. He has to take this to court and prove that they're lying, which he won't, because I don't think they are lying. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as y'all see right there in the lawsuit, it's bad news, y'all. Just bad news right here, bro. Man, oh man, oh man. Y'all let me know what y'all feel, man. They blowing the lid off this NBA. And now Steve Ballmer is up next. But let me tell y'all one more thing about Steve Ballmer and allegations against Steve Ballmer. So I told y'all, right, that Steve Ballmer, before he became an NBA owner, he was the CEO of Microsoft, right? Remember that. Over there with Bill Gates. Him and Bill Gates were close, right? Well, Steve Ballmer had sons, right? Now, Steve Ballmer sons play basketball. He was a big basketball fan, right? So he has 3 sons. One named Sam, one named Aaron, and one named Peter. Now, they attended Lakeside School, an elite private K-12 institution in Seattle, Washington. Also the alma mater of Bill Gates. Now, all 3 sons of his played on the school's varsity basketball team during the late 2000s and early 2010. Now, the team, known as the Lakeside Lions, faced serious allegations of rule bending and ethical lapse in 2014-2015, primarily driven by current NBA owner Steve Ballmer's heavily involvement as a booster. Now, these claims emerged from a Seattle Times investigative series by reporter Mike Baker. Now, based on depositions, interviews with former coaches and players, and school records, no formal charges or penalties were issued by the Washington Interscholastic Activities Association, the state's prep sports governing body, but sources described the practices as potentially violating the WIAA rules on recruitment, financial inducements, and academic standards. Now, the allegations resurfaced amid his current NBA probe into alleged salary cap circumvention with Kawhi Leonard, drawing parallels, right? Now, basically, in 2008, the Lakeside boys basketball team was struggling. Now, they finished with a record of 2 wins and 18 losses, as large as 66 points. They lost 1 game. Now, by 2013, they reached the WIAA state championship game, losing by 10 points to Garfield High. Now, Steve Ballmer, a self-described basketball zealot, credited his influence for the turnaround, but faced scrutiny for using his wealth, $15 billion at that time, to build a winner. Now, as a Microsoft executive and later CEO, Steve Ballmer coached youth teams with his sons and funneled resources to a Plus Foundation launched in 2009, a nonprofit he co-founded with friend Steve Gordon, a former Seattle Supersonics NBA team advisor. Now, Plus ostensibly supported underserved youth in Seattle, but heavily favored Lakeside basketball, providing training, houses, and academic aid to recruits. Now, Steve Gordon, who was Steve Ballmer's intermediary, he received $10,000 a month from Steve Ballmer as gifts. Now, Tavio Hobson, hired as an assistant coach in 2008 and later a head coach, he received $800 a month in cash supplements from Mr. Gordon. Now, recruits, talented black players from low-income areas, including star Isaiah Isabel, who averaged 22.5 points per game, right, in 2013, and Mo Williams' son, right? Now, the Seattle Times reporting corroborated by a 2014 deposition lawsuit from Gordon, unrelated business dispute with Steve Ballmer, painted a picture of quote-unquote boosterism, akin to college scandals. Now, the alleged violations include undisclosed cash payments to coaches. Mr. Gordon admitted in depositions to paying Mr. Hobson $800 per month in cash from 2008 to 2011 to supplement his $3,000 a year lakeside stipend sourced from Steve Ballmer's funds. Now, this allegedly violated the WIAA Rule 25.2, banning extra benefits or inducements to coaches and recruits. Now, Mr. Hobson later earned additional income from a Plus programs, blurring lines between nonprofit aid and team recruitment. Now, Steve Ballmer and allies allegedly bypassed Lakeside Standard Admissions Committee, right, which has a GPA 3.8 rigorous testing for basketball recruits. Former football coach Bob Pusinelli, who had 40 years at Lakeside, claimed that some players were admitted without committee review, including those with GPAs below 2.0. Now, a Plus hosted elite AAU basketball camps targeting urban, predominantly black talent, with Steve Ballmer quoted in Gordon's deposition, I quote, I'm going to open up a foundation and we're going to get black people in here, end quote. This raised WIAA concerns over undue influence, Rule 25.1. Now, in private school recruitment, right? So, for example, that high school basketball recruit who they bought over, Isaiah Isabel, who transferred from Garfield High, he transferred mid-year to this sorry-ass school with Steve Ballmer's sons. He lived in a $6 million Bellevue mansion in high school, owned by a Plus supporter named Rich Patton, a lawyer and Steve Ballmer donor. And he received private tutoring arrangements not extended to non-athletes. Now, basketball players reportedly received full-time tutors, grade leniency, and lighter course loads unavailable to other students in sports. One recruit's schedule was described as ensuring he wouldn't get a Lakeside diploma, yet he played 3 years. Now, baseball coach Dana Papacero, who had 20 years at the high school, stated they relaxed their academic integrity to accommodate the athletes, end quote. This echoed broader critiques of Lakeside prioritizing basketball over its academic reputation. Now, a Plus invested $1 million to $2 million invested annually in Seattle youth hoops, but 70% benefited Lakeside High School with state-of-the-art gym upgrades, travel perks, and all these other things. Critics call it pay-to-play pipeline, potentially violating the WIAA rules, equity rules for private schools. Now, Steve Ballmer's network, meaning his Microsoft executives, donated to A+, creating an unfair advantage over public schools. They were accused of cash to coaches, bypass admissions, academic leniency, and inducements. Now, in 2008, the team's dismal season prompted Steve Ballmer's post-game rant. A plus forms. 2009, 2011, Mr. Hobson was hired, paid, and the recruits arrived via A+ camps. In 2013, Lakeside High School reached the state finals. And the young boy who was living in that $6 million mansion, he was a star of the team. In 2014, the Seattle Times expose that came out on August the 16th detailed the tactics Clippers' Steve Ballmer then ended up buying the Clippers, amplifying coverage on this. Now in 2015, follow-up April confirms no WIAA probe, but notes it pushed limits. And in 2025, with this entire scandal going on with Steve Ballmer, all of these allegations have been brought back up. Now, Steve Ballmer declined comment calling games off limit to the media. School officials denied violations, emphasizing A+ community benefits. Headmaster Bernie No, athletics build character, but admitted growing pains. The WIAA reviewed but took no action, citing private schools' anatomy and lack of formal complaint. The WIAA Executive Director, Dave Bolin, says we monitor, but enforcement is challenging, right? There was a mixed public reaction with people upset and some people not knowing what the hell was going on, right? And the team went back to shit after Steve Ballmer's sons graduated and he got away from them, right? Bad situation, y'all. Y'all definitely let me know what y'all think. Like, share, and subscribe. Another NBA owner, an NBA player, maybe better to bite the dust. As it's all in the LA Times today, and the lawsuit is out. The paperwork is out in the lawsuit. Y'all let me know what y'all think. The employees don't came out and accuse this man of cheating the NBA and fraud on a federal level. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Hey, I really appreciate you guys for supporting the channel, supporting the network. Like, share, and subscribe. Once again, there are links. Get the free membership on our website. That way you guys won't miss any of our news update stories or videos. They're all on the website, ticketvmedia.com. You go over there. You can go right to the members part and become a free member. That way you guys will get all the updates. Also, Straight Drought Weight Loss Formula. Make sure y'all go tap in and copy some of that, as well as subscribing to our podcast show. Link will be pinned at the top of the chat down there below. And also, we just appreciate all y'all who support the channel. Cash App, PayPal.